Whether you want a rainbow wig like this one, or you just want to add some natural highlights or maybe some all-over toning color to a synthetic wig, the best way to do that is to take matters into your own hands. Today, I'm going to show you how to dye a synthetic wig.
Dyeing a synthetic wig. There are so many ways to do it, and I have covered a few of them in previous videos, but today I wanted to go big. I wanted to do something really fun with this Noriko Emery, which is a completely blank slate. I'm going to be taking you through a number of different techniques to take this wig from this to this. Welcome to the Wiggy Woman. I have worn wigs and synthetic hair for a very long time, and it took a while for me to feel comfortable enough with synthetic hair to go as far as dyeing a synthetic wig. It's always been something that I felt was taboo or off limits. It's true that dyeing synthetic hair is not the same as dyeing a regular human hair piece because regular hair dye just doesn't respond to it. So I am going to show you though that you are not limited to the colors that a manufacturer provides you. Those are really just broad options for a general market, and you can always take a wig that you like, give it a little bit of love, and make it perfect for you. And that's what we're going to do today with this Noriko Emery.
There are a number of ways to dye a synthetic wig, and while today I am going to be showing you how to make a rainbow wig, many of these are the same techniques that you would use for making a natural wig. The materials you're going to need for dyeing a synthetic wig you can find at any craft supply store, or I did put links in the description to Amazon. In my last video, I dyed a synthetic wig with RIT dye, but since in this video we're going to be doing a rainbow wig that has a little bit more intricate detail, I'm going to be using permanent markers. I did buy an inexpensive set from Amazon that I'll link in the description, but you could also purchase individually brown shades of Copic markers if you're going for more of a natural low light look. And for the all over color, you're going to need some alcohol-based ink that's in this little bottle. I purchased this multi-pack of some pretty vibrant colors, but if you're going for more of a natural look, you could buy individually browns or yellows for your particular style that you're going for. And lastly, if you're going to be dyeing your synthetic wig with this Rainbow Prism effect, you're going to want a template, and I did upload one as part of my subscriber content on thewiggywoman.com, so you can find it in there.
With a synthetic wig, you can only add color. You cannot subtract or lighten it. But if you want to save yourself some steps, you can always pick up something that has like a really good base color and just add a root and highlights and lowlights, kind of like what I did to Avalon here in the color Smoky Rose that you can see in this video. Obviously you're here because you probably want to dye a wig of your own. So leave me a note in the comments and let me know what kind of project you've got cooking up. I'd love to hear about it. I'd love to help you, and I would love to see the finished product on Instagram. But without further ado, you're here to see me dye this synthetic wig, and that's just what we're gonna do. So let's go over to my mannequin head, and I'm gonna show you how I do it.
Okay, so I've got my markers, I've got my template, and I have my wig on my mannequin head, and it is parted in the way that I intend to wear it because the design that I'm going to do has kind of a different type of technique on each side of the part. I'm taking a section of the hair and I'm over directing it, which means I'm pulling it essentially to the opposite side of the head. And I do that because that is going to give it an interesting pattern, but it's also going to give it a softer color look because I'm coloring the underside and leaving some white on top. And now I'm just going to take my marker set, and in each of these colors, I'm going to kind of follow along with my template, and I am going to color the hair with the marker. So you'll see that the first layer goes purple, then blue, green, yellow, pink, and then it's going to repeat. I did choose a shorter wig, and your first time doing this, you may want to do that because this is very time consuming because you have to change pens every single time. So now I'm taking a paintbrush dipped in rubbing alcohol, and I am coming back in where all of the colors kind of touch each other, and I am applying that rubbing alcohol so that I can essentially blend away the rigid lines. The alcohol sort of dissolves some of the ink and helps give you a non-uniform appearance. And then I'm going to clip the hair in place, get the next section ready, and use my template again. So just as we did before, we are going to keep the same pattern. So I'm over directing the hair, and then I am going to grab my purple marker, and I'm going to color in each of these sections with the corresponding color. And so you can see why having a template is so helpful, because all of the layers are going to be uniform in size, and that's going to give a really nice rainbow prism effect when we're dyeing this synthetic wig. As I'm going through, I am really trying to hold the hair very close to that template, because you don't want it to move and shift on you and end up getting, off of your cycle here. So again, there is a copy of this template available for download as part of my free subscriber content at thewiggywoman.com. And now, just as we did before, I'm going to come back in with that paintbrush dipped in rubbing alcohol, and I'm going to blend in each of those seams so that you don't have a rigid color. In fact, I kind of like this like watercolor effect that happens when the alcohol dissolves some of the dye and pushes it up and down the strand of hair. And once this section is complete, I'm going to slide my template out, and I am going to clip it together with the last section that we did. And I am going to continue on now to another section of hair. And this is just really the top weft against the part line. So you can see how doing this particular method is going to be much more time consuming than the vertical or natural highlights that I'll show you in the next section. So I'm going to do one more section here at regular speed, just so you really kind of get the gist of it. And then I am going to speed up my video, because you don't want to spend as much time on this video as it took me to dye this synthetic wig with this rainbow prism effect. So again, I'm going right along my template, and I'm not paying a lot of attention at the top where the purple, if it doesn't line up exactly with the part, don't worry about that, because we are going to go back in and we're going to fill in any gaps later. Again, if your wig is longer, it did take almost an entire sheet of paper for my template for a relatively short bob wig. So you may need to tape a few pieces of paper together. The template that's available for download is 3 sheets. So you can either have extras so that if your paper gets wet like mine does here, or if you want to string a few of them together, you can do that. But here we go. Now we have our third piece together, and you can see that rainbow prism pattern is really coming together. The next section that we're going to do after we do the all over color is going to be a vertical set of highlights, and those are going to be what you would use for a more natural highlight effect if you didn't want this pretty interesting rainbow prism effect. Just keep over directing the hair, because that is going to give a really cool prism effect, and stay true to your template. Do not deviate, even if the hair doesn't quite get all the way to the root, because what we're going to do at the end is we're going to go back through with a marker and we're going to fix all that. Whew, rainbow prism is done. It's time to color the hair underneath with some all over color. To give this more dimension, I'm going to do an all over color underneath. So I'm taking my alcohol ink and I'm dissolving it in a spray bottle of rubbing alcohol. I used about half of the bottle of the silver in the rubbing alcohol, and I am just spraying it directly onto the hair where I want the all over color. My camera doesn't really pick up the subtle difference between silver and white here, but I will turn around and show you. But I am picking up the hair. I'm making sure that every single strand is thoroughly coated underneath that rainbow prism pattern. So here you can see on the left is the silver sprayed all over color, and on the right is still that pure white, and I am going to reserve that for later when we do that peekaboo color. So this vertical highlight technique is what you would do if you had, say, a blonde wig and you wanted to add some lowlights to it. You would do the exact same thing. You would just use colors that are a little bit more natural. I am taking my marker and I am coloring in strips of hair in a vertical direction, as opposed to the Rainbow Prism effect where we did it horizontally. I am coloring down the strand, and then I am going to follow back over it with a paintbrush dipped in clean rubbing alcohol so that I kind of make sure that I get a blended effect and I coat the entire strand so you don't see brush marks. On this side, I am not using a template. I'm just kind of eyeballing it and putting the highlights or lowlights where I think that they fit the best. So I am keeping in that same pattern, but if you think of this like if you were adding natural highlights to a wig, you really would just kind of eyeball where you think it needs it and place the highlights appropriately. On this side, I did kind of follow along the top weft with the pattern, and then I am going to go back in underneath and I am going to put in more of these highlights visually on the layer underneath just to fill in any spots so it looks more of a multi-dimensional color and it doesn't look stripy. When you're doing this yourself, if you have, want chunky highlights, you can do chunky highlights. If you want thinner highlights, then you would just pull up a smaller section of hair. So this is a really cool way if you like highlights, but you feel like a designer always puts in really chunky lowlights and you want something that is more blended. You can get something that's more of a solid light color and come back in yourself with a natural color, and you can add those lowlights in yourself. So dyeing a synthetic wig doesn't necessarily have to mean dyeing the entire thing or doing all over color. It could be taking a flat color and adding more dimension to it just by coming in with some markers and adding lowlights. Here is your highlight pattern with the vertical technique, like more of your kind of natural hair type of a highlight pattern. But again, I don't want this over a stark white. When I think rainbows, I think rain cloud. So I'm coming back in here with my silver spray bottle and I am spraying the hair underneath the rainbow with this silver color. So now for the peekaboo color, I am going to take about half a bottle of a kind of turquoise acrylic ink, and I am going to dissolve it in about 4 tablespoons of rubbing alcohol in a dish. So in this first method for doing the peekaboo color, I am going to essentially just paint it on. So I am going to kind of go here at the root line, and I am just going to paint on this color in wide strokes so it kind of has a, I don't want it to have a stripy effect. I want it to have a gradual blend so that when I come back in with the pink, which is going to be the next layer of the peekaboo color, I'm going to have a kind of gradual ombre effect. As I'm doing this, you'll notice I'm being very careful not to get the dye on the tracks too much because the tracks are going to hold a lot of the dye, a lot more than the synthetic hair will. And because this is a very light colored wig, I don't want to have really dark tracks. So you can see there are a couple tracks that I did accidentally hit with the dye, and you'll see that that dye really stands out. So you want to be careful when you're doing this method because you are applying a lot of color all at once. There's only a couple of wefts down here, but I am going to make sure that the color is fully saturated. So to finish off the peekaboo color, I am going to do the pink in the same way that I did the silver with the all over color method. So I'm going to take about half of the bottle of the acrylic ink and I'm going to dissolve it in about a half a cup of the rubbing alcohol. And then I am going to spray it liberally over the remaining hair that I want to be pink on the underside. I'm making sure that I get both the top and bottom of the fibers and all of the wefts so that everything is incorporated and there's no white remaining. So here is the peekaboo color.
All right, so we are all done dyeing the synthetic wig and I wanted to show you the final look. So this side over here is the horizontal prism technique. And this side over here was the vertical pastel technique. And then I'm going to turn around, show you the back so that you can see that super cute blended peekaboo.
So as I turn around here, take a look at the differences between the prism technique and the vertical technique. The vertical technique has a much flatter color and would be better for a natural look. Here's that peekaboo, so you can see that little burst of pink down at the bottom. And here is that rainbow holographic prism effect. And you'll see as I move my head, the prism really changes as well. So it's a very beautiful technique.
So while I happen to use very vibrant colors to achieve this rainbow unicorn prism effect over here, this is the same techniques that you could use, especially what we did on this side and in the back for that peekaboo color, to color any synthetic wig. I could have just as easily been starting with a blonde wig and using this vertical technique with those markers to add lowlights. Or if you have a wig that's just a little bit too light and you wanted to darken it, maybe you have a platinum blonde that you want to make a little bit more sandy blonde, you can use the spray bottle technique to give an all over color. And as you saw with that peekaboo look, we really don't need to kind of stick with one color. You can use different spray bottles to achieve different multifaceted colors. I did put a link in the description to all of the products that I use here today, including this Noriko Emery wig, which I purchased at Wig Studio One, and all of the art supplies. So I put a link to all of the permanent markers, the acrylic inks that were used in today's tutorial. I hope you enjoyed this video, and if so, please give it a thumbs up. And once again, don't forget to subscribe to my channel and click the bell so that you never miss a wig review or tutorial or giveaway that's posted weekly. Thank you so much for watching, and I will see you next week.